Okay, welcome back. We're going to talk about design, build, and public-private partnerships for our first item. Some of you may know that AIA North Carolina has been actually one of the primary sponsors of House Bill 857. It's being carried by Representative Dean Arp from Union County. Dean is a structural engineer and a good friend of the design and construction industry. So he was a likely candidate for anybody in the legislature to address the issue of design build. Let's go back a little bit. I want to tell you why we're involved in this and what the bill is going to do. The bill does allow for a statewide use of the design build project delivery method. We're very much aware that this isn't necessarily the favored method of project delivery for architects, engineers, and even contractors. However, what's been going on in this state over the last decade or so is a large intrusion of design build into public contracting. And so what we've been finding over the last, I say about a half dozen years, is local-only bills that have been introduced at a great rate in the legislature every year. So we're getting up to about a dozen local bills to allow for design build for special projects at the local level. At the same time, what we had this year is a number of local government organizations coming to the legislature wanting to address a statewide design build measure. And the third piece of convergence here are entities from outside of North Carolina wanting to bring their own version of design build to this state under the guise of public-private partnerships. So as things lined up for the 2013 legislative session, it became very apparent that the design and construction industry, if they did not take the lead on this issue, we're going to get left behind. So we were instrumental in approaching Representative Arp, talking to him about what we could do to make sure that as the state moved to a statewide option of design build, design professionals and contractors were protected in the public construction arena. So what we have is House Bill 857. There are a number of sections to this bill. It started out as a 5-page bill. It's now up to about a 14-page bill. But let me give you the highlights of it. Essentially what we're doing is we're adding 2 new project delivery methods to state construction right now. Many of you know that an early version of project delivery here in North Carolina was multi-prime, which was quite a bit of a problem for most in the design and construction industry other than the subcontractors because it was an unworkable situation. That is still on the books. It's not used very much anymore. Single prime was then introduced in 2001 along with construction management at risk. And we've been living with those 3 authorized project delivery methods for the last 12 years. As I said, because of the influx of interest in design build, it's important for us to design something that was palatable for the design and construction industry. So what we've done is we've carved out 2 separate design build methods that the state and local governments will be able to use. The first design build method is really a true qualifications-based selection method. Local government will be able to advertise for a QBS design build process, and it can be delivered a couple of different ways. One, it can allow the design builder to offer complete services through a qualifications-based process, or it'll allow the design builder to offer services through a more traditional bidding of the subcontractors. But there's a lot of flexibility involved that will allow the local governments to decide how they want to approach that. Of course, that depends on local economic conditions, the trades that are there, the GCs that are there, and in collaboration, hopefully, with the local design and construction community, local officials can decide what's best to use under that method. Another process of design build that's being built into this statute is called design build bridging. Many people are familiar with this through Department of Defense or General Services, Federal General Services jobs. They use a design build bridging method a lot at that level of construction. This is very similar. What we're talking about here is the local entity or the government entity hiring an architect to do a project up to about 35% documentation, at which point then the entity can release the documents for design builders to come in and bid on the project. And so they can ask for a GMP at that point, or they can ask for qualifications of design build teams as well. So that's the second available option. The third option that's going to be used in this new bill has to do with public-private partnership contracts. And these are just PPPs or P3s for public construction. And the difference here between what we're calling a public-private partnership and design build has to do with private money being put into a project. In North Carolina, we're going to define a public-private partnership as a type of construction project that actually has, I believe it's at least 50% private money in the project. If there's no private money in the project, then it really just becomes a design-build project. But this is the difference between how we're defining public-private partnerships here in North Carolina and what we see in other states as public-private partnerships, but really it's just a disguise for design-build. So this, the other aspects of this bill would modify our qualifications-based selection statute as well. One of the things that we negotiated with local governments is the fact that because they wanted to have the design-build options, we were very concerned that some of the current provisions of our qualifications-based selection law were being misused, and we could not allow that to happen with these new design-build methods. So we've agreed to eliminate some of the exemptions that are built into our qualifications-based selection law in exchange for a little bit higher dollar value of design contracts. So local entities could exempt themselves from QBS if design contracts were $30,000 or less. That will go up to $50,000 now. But they also will not have the ability to exempt themselves from qualifications-based selection for designer selection. Let's see, some of the other issues that are being dealt with. There is what we know in the design and construction industry about design build, and these are legitimate concerns, is that a number of folks really believe that some of the larger companies will benefit more from design build. So in the design build statute, as well as going back into the existing CM at risk statute that we have, we've built in some language to require during the solicitation phase that local governments look at small business consideration as well. So that's in the language. All of this, if passed by the legislature, will go into effect October of this year. It does have a 5-year sunset, so we have to be reauthorized by 2019, or else the design build sections will go away. Let's see, I think that's pretty much it for design build. What I want to ask everybody is if you have any additional questions about this, feel free to call us here at the office and email me as well. I'm at dcrawford@aianc.org, and our number here is 919-833-6656. Also, attached to the link on our web page here, you should see a link to the actual page on the General Assembly website that has the most current language of the bill, so you can go in there and check out any of the details on this legislation. If you have questions, as I say, feel free to give us a call or send me an email. Thanks a lot, and we hope to talk to you again soon. Take care.